and welcome to the Art of Artisan. This week I'm doing what I mentioned last week I'd be doing, and that is playing a discard-based tempo deck. So this isn't entirely a discard-based tempo deck, but I really have no way to describe it besides that. It's really hard to explain what this deck is doing. It's a very nice spread of 1 copy of some cards, 2 copies of others, 3 of others, and 4 of others. It's a mess. So let's start by talking about the threats. Because we're going to be playing at sorcery speed, unlike most tempo decks, we have Clever Lumimancer in this one. Solid card, it's a 1-drop that usually is getting in for 2 or 4 damage every turn, so like a Delver. Then we've got Illuminator Virtuoso, super powerful if targeted. We'll get into some cards that target it soon. And then Thunderous Orator. This card is an inclusion in the deck actually because we are playing Killian. So Killian makes it so spells that target a creature cost 2 less to cast. This is useful for our protection spells, this is useful for removal spells, and Killian is also just a great target to pump up, because he has both lifelink and menace, so he can be a great threat for just racing against aggro decks. So Thunderous Orator gets double strike from Illuminator Virtuoso or Twin Blade Geist, and also has some value off of Killian Ink Duelist. So generally just a good card as a second threat if we already have one on the battlefield. But since it's only good as a second threat, we only have one in the deck. Then Bloodsky Berserker, once again we're playing on our turn, unlike most tempo decks, so this card is actually going to grow throughout the game. And then we've got our protection spells. This is our instant speed part of the deck. We've got Boon of Safety as a 1-of, Allenbach Escort. This is a fantastic card in our deck. We have a light +1/+1 counter theme to our deck. This is sacrifice it, protect a creature, and give it lifelink. Really good against other aggro decks. Malakir Rebirth and Sejiri Shelter, both just lands that are really solid as protection spells. And then Oblivion's Hunger is actually one of the cards that ties this deck together. Oblivion's Hunger draws us a card and gives a creature indestructible for 2 mana, or only 1 mana if we have Killian in place. This is a cantripping protection spell that can potentially cost 1. Now, like any tempo deck, we need to have a way to mess with our opponent. And the core of how we mess with our opponent is Humiliate. This card lets us remove a card from our opponent's hand and put a +1/+1 counter on a creature we control. Sadly, it's not target creature we control, so we can't trigger Illuminator Virtuoso with this, but still, giving a double strike creature +1/+1 is really solid when we're already removing an opponent's threat with this card. Check for traps. Discard is good in multiples because you can just pick apart your opponent's hand and leave them with nothing to do. So we've got a second discard spell that hits everything. We've got a little bit of removal in Bloodchief's Thirst and Kabira Takedown, which once again get discounted by Killian. And then we've got Closing Statement, which does target our creature, is a removal spell, and with Killian in play can be a 2 mana destroy target creature and then target one of ours to get +1/+1. Rounding out the deck, we've got some +1/+1 counter cards that will just support our main plan, turn on our protection spells. And the lands, like all tempo decks, we're really low on lands. We function fairly well with only 2 even, because we're just going to try and mess with our opponent, mess with our opponent, mess with our opponent, while we have a growing threat like Bloodsky Berserker, or just a powerful threat like Twin Blade Geist with +1/+1 counters. So that is +1/+1 counter, discard, Killian, tempo. It's Orzhov tempo. And I hope you guys enjoy the video. I haven't played this deck in a long time, so I don't know if the meta shifted enough. I don't know how it's going to do. Let's find out in the games. Game 1. We're coming up against... Oh, it's lagging out. Against Leoningu. It's a lot easier to pronounce when you realize it's 3 words. This hand has protection spells for days, but no threat. We do have both colors of mana, but I think we have to ship this. This is a better hand. This is better, not by a ton, but we do have a Killian and a protection spell for it and Humiliate. So we are going to ship an Allenbach Escort. And then probably play this as a land. Yep. And facing green is really good here. because green is likely going to not be able to remove our creatures once they get big enough. That will be big enough to kill our creatures. Do we bet on our opponent playing Blizzard Brawl? Potentially. But I think we got to do this. Alright, this is risky. I'm playing for... If our opponent doesn't play Blizzard Brawl this turn, we probably win. If they do play it, then we most definitely lose. Ranger class, okay, that's good. I mean, that's not good, but it's not death for us. Alright, let's go. And now we can hold up Sajiri Shelter for practically free. Humiliate our opponent. I'm not scared of anything here except for a second pack leader, so I'll take that. And we are going to win this race, so I'm just going to swing in. We will play Allenbach Escort as protection. Pass the turn. Opponent can start drawing. I should have left it back as a blocker. I didn't think about them just pumping up Ranger's class to draw a card. But we'll see. We'll see if we can outpace them here. They would need to draw Blizzard Brawl. Well, no, they can't really remove Killian at this point. It's going to be way too hard. So at this point, it's more or less a race. Scoured Barrens, okay. Twin Blade Geist. Scoured Barrens. We'll swing in with both. And then we will Homestead Courage our Twin Blade Geist right now. It's a good growing potentially threat. We can block with Twin Blade Geist and sack Allenbach Escort. So we've got a couple of powerful things we can do here just to kill the Werewolf Pack Leader, etc. Also, sorry if I sound a little rushed. I do not have a ton of time to record today, so I am maybe going to take slightly riskier lines like I did earlier, which did pay off, but okay. We are going to block and sack for that. Block and block and sack. That will put our opponent back a bit. They lose their Werewolf Pack Leader. They don't get in any damage, and we are up to 22 life. Our opponent can block Killian effectively here now. So I think we just Homestead Courage up the Twin Blade Geist and swing in with it. It's it they cannot block effectively, that is. Okay, they choose not to. Now, if we draw anything that can pump up our Twin Blade Geist, Sajiri Shelter will give us lethal, because it gives it protection from green, and then we can just swing in without our opponent being able to block. Alright, Asika's Chariot. Where's this like Ren and 7? It's like they want 5 mana for something. Invoke the Ancients. Okay. That's a solid card. Oh, we are one pump spell of any sort from winning. So that's a Humiliate. That's a Closing Statement. I think, yeah, we could pull off Closing Statement even. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 out of our 50 cards. It's like a 1 in 5 that we top deck the win any turn. We will block that. Yeah, Double Strike is first strike, opponent. Alright, our turn. And do we get it? We don't yet. Silverquill Campus might eventually find it. No attacks. We have a huge buffer of life here. Although our opponent can just Blizzard Brawl us at any time and force us to use the Sajiri Shelter, which would be quite brutal. Opponent goes to attacks. And they're going to get in with their Tramplers. Okay. Yeah, this time they can pump up the Wolf. That makes more sense this time. And and we will take it. No blocks. Gotta get in. We've got to get this. Ugh. We've got to get the pump spell. If we get it, we win. I mean, there's nothing. Yes, that's it. That's game. Homestead Courage on the Twin Blade Geist. There's nothing. The only thing they've got instant speed is the Seeker's Chariot, I'm thinking. Sajiri Shelter, protection from green. And that is the downside of being a monocolored deck against Sajiri Shelter, is our protection spell is also an unblockable spell. Good game. An opponent scoops it up, and we're off to a 1-0 record. Alrighty, let's go on to game 2. Alrighty, game 2. Playing against Radicus Gnarly. Great name. I like it. This hand is okay. Yeah. We'll keep it just on the power of Oblivion's Hunger, Homestead Courage. Get off the Scouring Barrens. Opponent's doing something interesting with the World Tree. We're gonna play Thunderous Orator first, so that we can play Killian and get in with Surprise Lifelink and everything. I tend to find that leading with Orator is best, because then you at least get some value off the Orator, as opposed to if you play Killian first, then the opponent might just remove it, and Orator will just be a Vigilance creature, which is kind of mediocre. Okay, Doomscar right off the bat. So opponent's playing Bant something with Doomscar, and we are now in serious trouble. Maybe I should have played Killian first so that I could just Homestead Courage him, and then Oblivion's Hunger protected. Yep. Wow. I just guess I didn't expect our opponent to fire something off that quickly. Okay, opponent's got World Tree turned on, and they are, it looks like, just banned. Fight rigging, let's hope they don't have a creature to go with it. Sweet. Oh gosh. Well, if we play a creature, we can protect it. We can't even start scrying with Silver Quill Campus because we're not drawing a 5th land. Eek. Okay, Mirror Shell Crab. They have certainly ramped. Oh, sweet. Alright, let's just get rid of their... Oh no. Ward how much? 3? Gosh. Well, we are not drawing lands, we are not drawing creatures. Which, this is our tempo deck with the most creatures in it, so this is especially disappointing. Let's hope that this... Okay, Sky Turtle. Alright, I like what our opponent's doing with fight rigging. They're doing channel fight rigging. That's a land. I guess now we can start scrying with Silver Quill Campus. That's an upside. Fight rigging on the Sky Turtle, and I think we lose the game here. Yeah, we just got Doomscarred early, and I did not play around it. Okay, there we go. Virtuoso. Got him. Yeah, we're just a little bit too late. Oh, they may also have counter magic at this point. Alright, nope. We'll just Homestead Courage it. Show our opponent, hey, we've got a bunch of these sorts of effects in hand. Mirror Shell Crab, sure. We're dead. Alrighty, that was a fast one. Just blown out by Doomscar. Should have played around it. They foretold a card. They had one white man up. On to game number 3. Game 3 against Golrar.
This hand doesn't have both colors of mana, so we can't actually get our Humiliate down. I think we gotta ship it. Okay, this hand's better. We can drop an Allenbuck Escort. Hello? There. And we have a turn 2 Virtuoso. I don't know if we should run it out on turn 2 yet, though. Our opponent does have Spike Field Hazard in their deck. They're red-white. Oh, okay. We're facing this deck. Yeah, this is a tough deck to beat for us, I feel like. We're gonna run out Virtuoso and hope. Opponent may just have Spike Field Hazard Frostbite. We may get blown out pretty quickly here. But our opponent's playing the... oh, I can't remember what it's called. But the Arcane Bombardment. Yep. So they've got a lot of instant speed burn to try and make it to the late game. And we need a way to hold them off for a little bit. Until we draw our next threat, we will check for traps. Goldspan and March. Never mind. This is... is this Dragonstorm? Yeah, that's white mana. Okay, they're playing Jeskai Storm. So getting rid of that Goldspan Dragon was huge. That turns off our opponent's combo for now. And they've got potentially nothing going on. That could be good soon enough. We'll put a +1/+1 counter on this. Okay, opponent has Dragon's Fire. We will protect this as it is our only threat right now, and we would like the value off of Guiding Voice. If our opponent wastes all their resources on this, I think we're fine with that. Okay, they choose not to. Okay. Oh shoot! My sideboard is not organized correctly. Oh shoot, that is really bad. I guess we just take Introduction to Prophecy. Swing in for 2. I need to fix that in between the next 2 games, because that's going to be really bad next time we cast Guiding Voice. Yeah, the sideboard currently is not a problem in best of 3, but best of 1 it only lets you use the first 7 cards of your sideboard, even if 6 of them are currently unusable. Flame Blessed Bolt. Okay. And it's now a top deck war. Who can draw better? Oh, looks like we can draw better. I'm going to play Introduction to Prophecy first here. And try to hit like a land. Or a Humiliate. Is Humiliate even good? I don't think so. We don't really want discard when our opponent's hand is more or less empty. Draw the perfect land. Opponent is playing fairly slowly. I'm gonna be... if you notice the music jumping around a lot in the edited video, it's because I'm just skipping a bunch of time sitting here like this. Yeah, they seem kind of not happy that their game plan just got completely wrecked by that one discard spell. Moral of the story? Build your deck so that you don't die to discard. We'll just swing in. And I think we're gonna play a Homestead Courage on the Twin Blade Geist now, so that if our opponent does play a threat, we can Homestead Courage and Closing Statement on the same turn. Make it disappear. Okay. And Oblivion's Hunger. Okay, that's a good draw. We will Homestead Courage it again. And this is feeling very much like a tempo deck where we've got, 2 damage on board. Well, I guess 3 damage. And our opponent's just empty-handed. We've drained all their resources. And it took 1 discard spell. Okay. They're gonna do it. Alright. We lose our Homestead Courage. That's actually pretty bad for us. Okay, opponent's empty-handed. We could closing statement our own Allenbach escort. Oh no, you don't control. Okay. I was just thinking, should we try and speed up our clock by getting a +1/+1 counter on our Twin Blade Geist? Nope, we'll just wait. But if our opponent plays something like Goldspan Dragon, or that, that's actually kind of good for us. Because now we just get to do this. Kill that. And Twin Blade Geist now hits for 4 damage. And Allenbach Escort can now protect it. And opponent is now on a 2-turn clock. I mean, they do have Fable of the Mirror Breaker to block, so I guess they've got 3 draws. 4 draws if you count this loop. But they have to be pretty good here. That's good for us, actually. That draws us a card. Homestead Courage. Is that enough to win? That is exactly enough to win. That's game. Homestead Courage. Into Homestead Courage. Fable of the Mirror Breaker never flips. And that's 9 damage. Wow. Alright, so that was... That is a testament to the power of discard against some decks. We just got rid of Goldspan Dragon and their whole game plan fell apart. On to game number 4. Game number 4 against Fox. I hear that they're pretty high tier. No white mana. We've got 4 creatures, which is kind of nice in our tempo deck. Black mana, but I think we've got to keep this one. I'm actually going to get rid of Closing Statement here, because we just desperately need to protect our Lumimancer. And I think we just got to go hyper aggro and hope that somehow wins. But this is not a great start. Oh, okay. There we go. Check for traps. And here we see the sorcery speed, making Clever Lumimancer much better in our tempo deck. We're dead. We are so dead. I don't know how we can beat this hand. We can hope that they try not to kill our creature this turn and take Brutal Cathar, and hope we get enough +1/+1 counters on this that it dodges... Well, it won't dodge Fateful Absence. We are dead. Oh gosh, that is a good hand against us. Like, I'm almost tempted to concede right now because we do not have any of our defenses up. Okay, Twin Blade Geist. That will eat a second removal spell. Is that worth it? Maybe. We'll Guiding Voice it. That lets us grab Pest Summoning? I mean, like, I don't even know at this point. But I think we take Introduction to Prophecy and try and dig for protection. Okay, Monk into Royal Eruption. Dang. Yeah. Speaking of picking apart opponents' game plans, our opponent just did that to us pretty badly. I mean, we'll take the Bloodsky Berserker. That's a threat. But sadly, our opponent has just hard removal for it. And they've got a really fast clock. I mean, not like super fast, but faster than I would prefer. We get Berserker, we get Lumimancer, and do we Homestead Courage? I lean towards no, and we'll pass the turn. Alright, they're removing Bloodsky. So we do have a Clever Lumimancer, and we can give it double strike. However, will that beat the 2-turn clock we're currently on? Doubtful. Still, let's try it. Okay, Homestead Courage. Pump that up. Homestead Courage. Sadly, this does not trigger Clever Lumimancer, otherwise it would be hitting for 16 this turn. Still, this I think is we're coming close to threatening lethal. Like, potentially any spell could kill our opponents. They might not want to just swing in now. Although they may just swing in with 2 Sunrise Cavaliers and call that good. Oh, or Monk into Sunrise Cavalier. Wow, and now we're forced to block. We'll block a Cavalier. And that is game. We just got beaten by the 3 2-mana removal spells. That would have been a good draw earlier. Lifelink. Activate ability, should have done that first. And Kabira takedown. We'll ping that. Call it good. Wow. That was pretty brutal. I don't know what else to say besides playing a bunch of cheap burn is a good way to beat a tempo deck. On to game number 5. Alrighty. Game 5 versus Gruul. Alrighty. Oh, there's not enough lands here, but if we start drawing lands, this hand is good. And it's semi-functional with only 1. Like, we can actually do some stuff. I'm actually gonna totally greed keep this one. Maybe not the best to greed keep on the match to determine the winning record. Oh, sweet. Greed rewarded. I love it when my greed is rewarded. An opponent playing some Obscura Storefront is not one that I see that often. Alright, we're going to run out the Orator, which will swing in for 4 damage next turn with the Virtuoso. Okay. Alright, Rite of Oblivion. There goes our Orator, which I think we're okay with. Opponent's desperate for lands, I think, is part of it. Alrighty. We're going to run out Virtuoso and Lumimancer and just go in and hope. We're going to cast Check for Traps for sure next turn, unless our board gets removed. Like, having Lumimancer down when we cast Check for Traps is a really nice just bonus of extra damage on our discard spell. Check for Traps. What do you got going on? Okay, Undead Butlers. Oh, Reanimator. Well, we don't want to discard Toxrill. They want that in their graveyard. Undead Butler can kind of block stuff. I think the lifelink is actually what we're going to get rid of. And we will Homestead Courage on both of these. We'll try and split our damage evenly. We'll discard a Lumimancer. And actually, we should Homestead Courage the Lumimancer, yeah. Math checks out here. We're just going to threaten our opponent for as much damage as we can this turn. Well, I'm not sure why they wouldn't block here. It seems like a pretty obvious block in general. They may be trying to save the Rite of Oblivion, though. That may be the reasoning here. That they just don't want to be unable to cast it because they don't have... Wow! They're not casting Rite of Oblivion because they need it. And they're not blocking with Eye Twitch because they need to cast Rite of Oblivion, but they don't have the lands. Okay, Undead Butler. Now let's see if we can threaten our opponent for a ton of damage here. They hit any creatures? No, they've got nothing to reanimate still. And Swamp. Lame. Okay. We will Homestead Courage on the Virtuoso, see what we can flip ourselves into. Closing Statement. I'm not sure if we should cast that one. Well, I mean, we can't cast it now, and we can't really... We don't want to wait until end of turn to do anything. So it's just not going to affect this turn. Swing in. But next turn we can cast it as a removal spell into an immediate. Alright. Our opponent has to somehow deal with both of our threats this next turn, and we have removal spell for their first blocker. Oh my goodness, are they just going to play out Eye Twitch and Undead Butler as blockers? Alright, it's looking like our opponent's just on the back foot this whole game. Yeah, I'm trying to play Reanimator, do the big thing when we got this early start. Our discard wasn't especially good this game. Okay, Rite of Oblivion. And I believe that is the game. Like, what can our opponent do? Yeah, that's game. Alrighty. Winning record. 3-2 with the deck. Let's get into the deck wrap up and talk about potential changes. Okay, so an overall winning record, 3-2. Thoughts on the deck? I was not too impressed by Guiding Voice and the Learn package, and I really didn't get to see enough discard. I think our only way to disrupt and prevent our opponent from removing our creatures is discard. So I think I would swap 2 Guiding Voices here for 2 Check for Traps, and just call that a good change. Oblivion's Hunger, we didn't see it in too many games, but the games where we saw it, it usually was drawing us a card. So this card, I almost made it the picture for the deck. I just wasn't sure what to make the picture. But it is such a core part of the deck, having these protection spells for the +1/+1 counters. And with Illuminator Virtuoso, we're already naturally getting counters, so I don't think we need the Guiding Voice. Clever Lumimancer, first time I've seen it be solid in a tempo deck. It's really good in Magecraft decks, but this was cool because we have a deck that disrupts our opponent on our turn. Closing Statement, I was not too impressed by it, but we do need a Curve Topper. Currently our deck is entirely 1 and 2 drops, and I did want some more things for Killian to reduce the price on. We did not get to see Killian reducing the price really affect anything in these 5 games. I do think overall, though, just having a lifelink menace was pretty solid in some situations. Like, I can't remember if that came up in any of the games that I recorded, but lifelink menace threat is pretty solid on its own. So if you're going to upgrade this deck, tempo deck that you want to upgrade, Luminarch Aspirant is a good option, just because once again, tempo threats that grow are super powerful. It could replace Twin Blade Geist easily, and then I think maybe something like Wandering Emperor fits well in a tempo deck, just as a way to have more creatures. That's also a removal spell, also a way to pump our creatures. It's just a solid card. As far as the sideboard goes, I think this is my quick thought for a sideboard. There's only 5 lesson cards that I really wanted in this deck. Just a simple spread, something to give us creatures, something to give us lands, a pump spell, a draw spell to dig for whatever we need, and a removal spell. Then I had a little bit of a weird plan with this deck. With all of our cool threats that are double striking and have good keywords on them, giving them extra power is really powerful, and equipment can be an interesting answer against control decks. So like if we come across a deck where we need to remove all of our like Closing Statement, our Bloodchief's Thirst, our Kabira Takedown, like decks that we can't really play any of those cards, we can bring in Cement Shoes, which is a weird card, but we can play it early, and then when we play a double striking threat, it can turn into an 8 power threat unless it's removed immediately. Well, removed during our opponent's turn. Same thing with Plate Armor. Same idea, also grants ward, is a bit more expensive, so the plan would be to board in the equipment package. Selfless Samurai, also good protection, and Duress is another discard spell against the right decks. Overall, I'm not sure this was the most fun tempo deck. I'm not sure it's the most tempo-y tempo deck. But it was a cool chance to see if we could make a discard-based tempo deck work. And we did get to see game 3, I believe it was, where we removed our opponent's Goldspan Dragon, and they just couldn't do anything the entire game. So I'd call this deck a success. Not the most fun. I wouldn't recommend it that highly, but I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoy whatever budget magic that you choose to do. Hope you all have a great day. Bye-bye.